Association of Student Speakers Ghana. We are an association that gives exposure by sharing valuable information, evaluating legislative proceedings of student legislative bodies for the purpose of growth. How many of us are here? Let me see. Oh, okay. Mr. Chairman, can we proceed?
Yeah, let's start.
Okay, thank you very much. That being said, we would need a volunteer to take us to the Lord. Right Honorable Stanley, please lead us.
Hello.
Yes, we are listening.
So shall we pray? Almighty God, all perfect and true, we plead as we pray today, committing this session into your hands. We pray you look upon us with fervency, even as we gather here to bring out the ideas of making student representation better in our tertiary institutions. And in all our doings today, we pray that understanding will go ahead of us, and in all, we shall give glory and honor to your name. These are many more blessings we ask for your sanctuary as we pray. Thanksgiving. Amen.
Amen. Moving forward, since we have our chairman here, we wouldn't waste much time. We would want to commence the training session. Today is actually an introduction. Moving in times to come, we will be having speakers from across the country, that is student speakers, and sometimes facilitators from the mother house, that is Ghana Parliament, to aid us and teach us things we are supposed to know. Not to take all the time, Mr. Chairman, please, the floor is yours.
No, I was thinking we could get to know the participants, who they are, before we start, so they could introduce themselves.
Oh, okay. So, right honorable speakers and members present, can we please get an introduction from all of you?
Hello, good evening. Hello.
Good evening. Please, you can talk.
Okay, my name is Rahina too. I am a student of
Yeah, good
UCC.
evening.
Okay, my name is Rahina too. I am a student of UCC.
Good evening, House. My name is Stanley Eko Sunkwan Akwa, the Speaker of Parliament for Valco Hall, University of Cape Coast.
Yes, you are welcome.
Thank you.
Good evening, House. My name is Carlos Okwamati, and I'm the speaker for Kufuri Atenka University. Thank you.
Welcome, Speaker. Still waiting on you for the introduction. Right honorable
Can I?
Said Ahmed. Yes.
Please, was there yes to me?
Yes.
All right. God. My name is Asumeduda Obuase Campus.
You are welcome, Madam Speaker. Right Honorable Abdallah.
Hello.
Yes. Kindly introduce yourself to the house.
Right. I'm Abdallah Ibrahim, the speaker for Methodist University, Tema campus.
Okay. Any other person?
All right. Good evening, everyone.
Good
My name
evening.
is Saka Yakubuta, the second deputy speaker for UGS Tamale campus.
We are pleased to meet you. That being said, I believe we would have to move to the main reason why we are here. That's the training session. And on that tangent, I would like to open the floor for Right Honorable John Amegashie-Viglo.
Okay, hello.
Yes, you can.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. It is an honor to do this presentation today. As my colleague said, this is our maiden presentation or maiden seminar, and subsequent ones will be done by other speakers who are either current or former speakers, or could even be staff and members of Parliament of the Republic of Ghana, or any other person who has something to share with us in order to enlighten us to become better speakers. I appreciate the presence of presiding officers, deputy presiding officers, and members of student parliament here. You are all welcome to the National Association of Student Speakers Ghana. And I'm Jones Amegashie-Viglo. I'm the chairperson of the National Association of Student Speakers Ghana. I'm also the Speaker of Parliament for the International Youth Network for United Nations Security Council Resolution 2250 Youth Government System. And I'm also the President of the Senate of Youth Impact Parliament of Youth Impact Movement. I've learned a thing or two about being a speaker, having been a speaker for at least 3 to 4 years now. And I just want to share a piece of my knowledge with you. Just note that I don't know it all, but I'm just sharing what I have. And after I'm done with my presentation, we can have a conversation on what I've shared. You can share your token on it. You can ask questions, seek clarification, and then we'll make a headway. So let me just start with my presentation. So for today, I don't intend speaking for so long though. It's just three things that we want to, or I want to tackle. What is a legislature? Who is a speaker of parliament? And then what makes you an effective speaker of parliament? These are the three things I want us to look at today. So, having known what we want to look at today, if we talk about parliament, what is parliament? And for most of you, parliament is the most popular name of legislatures. Most legislatures in the world are called parliament, but the actual terminology is legislature. Legislature, that is the actual name of what it is. But the legislature can be called different names such as National Assembly, House of Assembly, House of Representatives, House of Commons, House of Lords, House of Councillors, the Senate, the National Council of Provinces, the National Congress, National Diet, Chamber of Deputies, State Duma, and a whole lot of names. Whatever name you want to assign to your legislature. In fact, let's not forget the common ones. General Assembly is one that we use on our student campuses. Parliamentary Council is just a name. Parliamentary Board is just a name. Okay, all these, they are just names. The actual thing is what? Legislature. So whatever name you assign to it, so far as the role of a legislature is visible in it, then it is actually a legislature. This is our national parliament or our national legislature. As you know, how many of you have been here before? If you have, just raise your hand for me to know. If you have not, you can just indicate as well. If you have not entered this particular chamber before, yes, a couple of you have been there. If you have not been to this chamber before, try and go. You cannot only go as an organized team. You can wake up one morning, take a vehicle to Accra. You can take Trotro, and then you alight at the Reach Junction. You walk from there to the junction between Parliament and Accra International Conference Center. Ensure that proceedings are going on that day before you go. So when you go there, you know, in the middle is the office of the speaker, at the left is the banquet hall, and at the right is the chamber of parliament. So you go to the right, you enter the security checkpoint, tell them you are coming to observe proceedings. They'll direct you to the speaker's gallery. The speaker's gallery is this, the one where you can see my mouse at. I don't know whether you can see my mouse. This, and all around 360. That is the speaker's gallery. And go and observe proceedings. If you cannot go, proceedings are always streamed on Facebook and on YouTube. Just watch these proceedings. This is our national parliament. Okay. It was first finished like this. This particular picture. This was how it was from 1992 to around 2014-15 thereabouts. And that was when President John Mahama decided to refurbish it and add the green color, the red color, to give it a tint of red. And the red, you know, can stand for supremacy as well. So the refurbishment was done around 2014, 15, 16 thereabouts. And since then, it had been this style. But before then, this was how the Parliament of Ghana was designed, or should I say arranged and equipped. And this is its current status now. So if you have not been there, try and go there. It's very exciting. It's very exciting to see how your legislators that you have voted for are doing their job. You know, the job of a legislature is in this house and not in their constituency. That I believe you already know. If you don't know, kindly take notice at once. The job of your MP is not in his constituency, but is rather in the house. Why? Because he is being elected to represent you, the constituents, in parliament, to deliberate for you, speak for you, and pass laws in your favors. It is due to the paradigm shift in our campaigns and then all those that have led to MPs promising this and that. But as much as I'm concerned, they don't promise them as if they are going to do it themselves. It is because probably if the person in power as president is from their party, it is easier for them to lobby. But in some cases that the person is an opposition MP, it means he's going to lobby from other sources for development to happen. But he himself cannot exactly implement the development. He can only lobby for it or perhaps direct it. But on most occasions, funds don't come from there because an MP is not entitled to a budget. Government does not budget for an MP. One person will be like, oh, then what about the MP's common fund? Yes, the MP's common fund is not under the direct control of the MP. It's under the control of the DCE or mayor or MC that his constituency falls within. And the monies are released in consultation with the MC and the DC to cater for social interventions such as payment of fees and sorting out distress that constituents might come to the MP to solve. But as much as I'm concerned, those monies have not even been coming for quite some time now. Yes, so your member of parliament is not a development officer. He is a legislator. His job is to be in parliament and speak for you. Let's move on. So since I stated that parliament is just a name, then what exactly is this legislator or this legislature I keep on talking about? A legislature or legislative arm of government or legislators. What am I talking about with this legis? So a legislature is basically a lawmaking body of a country, state, province, county, or region, etc., made up of elected representatives, and in some jurisdictions, with a couple of appointed members of parliament. Some countries call them nominated MPs. Nominated MPs, who represents the politically demarcated territories called constituencies. And in some other jurisdictions, constituencies are called districts. For instance, in the United States, the representatives over there represent districts. But in Ghana, our districts are administrative territories managed by the president. So we call ours rather constituencies. A couple of people have met me and then they're asking, why do I keep on referring to constituencies? Because all they know is districts. There is a big difference between a district in Ghana and a constituency in Ghana. Why do I say so? For a district is headed by a district chief executive appointed by the president, subject to two-third approval by the district assembly. Okay. But a constituency is led or represented by a member of parliament elected at polls at the general elections at periodic times, 4 years. A member of parliament has legislative powers, but a district chief executive has executive powers as a nominee and a representative of the president. So some of you will be like, some constituencies are just as big as their districts. Yes, 80 to 90% of constituencies are just as big as their districts. But we have around 200 and I think 260 to 270 districts, municipals, and metropolitans. But we have 276 constituencies. It means there are more constituencies than more districts. For example, Greater Accra, Klote Kole, and then one other constituency. I'm sure it should be the Domeko Abenya or maybe Aya also. They are all within Accra Metropolitan Assembly. So it is one mayor that handles all their district common funds and all those. All of them are within one assembly. So that is the distinction. A district in Ghana is not the same as a constituency. But in other jurisdictions, as I said, in the United States of America, members of the House of Representatives represent districts. So you just need to have the clear cut per the jurisdiction in perspective so that you not be confused. But settling on Ghana, our MPs represent constituencies and not districts. Okay. So Parliament is the entire representation, or is the representation of the entire population of a country or whatever body we are referring to. And it is basically the highest court of the land. Why do I say so? These are two different points that I'm trying to articulate here. Why is Parliament the representation of an entire population of a territory or a country? Yes, as a matter of fact, the entire 32 or 35 million Ghanaians should be able to sit and pass laws. But we all cannot do that. In fact, there is no venue that can host the 32 or the 32 million or 35 million of us. Let me just use 35 million Ghanaians. There is no venue in Ghana that can host the 35 million of us Ghanaians seated down with one person presiding for us to make laws. Number one, we don't even have the time. We don't have the resources to build such a building, because the biggest building in Ghana, to my knowledge, can take as much as 100,000, but not even close to 500,000. And now there are 32 million Ghanaians. We all cannot sit down to do this job. That is why we have been given an opportunity to choose one resident in a constituency to represent us. We tax him and we elect him to go and represent us and take these decisions for us, because we all cannot go there. So if out of all the 276 constituencies, 35 million Ghanaians elect 276 members of parliament to go to parliament and represent us, this basically makes parliament the most representative body in the country. This makes parliament the true representation of the entire population, because out of the 276 people, basically you will be able to capture 80% of all ethnic groups, 80%, not less than 80% of all religious groups, not less than 80% of all colors, and all distinctive aspects of life represented, or should I say, are residents in Ghana. This is why Parliament is the most representative body of a country or state or province. Now, I've also asserted to the fact that Parliament is the highest court of the land. And why do I say so? A couple of you will be like, no, the Supreme Court is the Supreme Court. Basically, it is the Supreme Court of the land. So am I trying to say that Parliament is supreme to the Supreme Court? How? The English is not even adding up. Well, for your attention, Parliament is not the Supreme Court, but it is higher than the Supreme Court in one particular context. It is higher than the Supreme Court in the context of the removal of a president. Unfortunately for you, your SRC constitutions seek for judicial intervention in the removal of a president. But per the laws of Ghana and the Constitution of Ghana, no judicial intervention comes in place in the removal of the president of Ghana. The removal of the president of Ghana starts in Parliament and ends in Parliament without any judicial intervention. Well, the president, if he is distressed or if he is not happy with how parliamentarians have handled his impeachment or removal, can go and seek redress from the Supreme Court. but that cannot exactly annihilate the fact that Parliament is the highest court. It is the highest court in the sense that Parliament will be the one to impeach the president, they will try the president, make their case, and with three-fourth votes, three-fourth, so that will be like, let's say 213 members of parliament voting in favor that the president be impeached and be removed from office. The president indeed is impeached and removed from office without the intervention of the Supreme Court. And you know, the president is the highest certified and elected official of the country. So if the highest certified and elected official of the country is being removed by the highest representative body of the country, that basically makes that body the highest court of the land. Are you getting how I'm making the case? Yeah, so it is on this basis that Parliament is the highest court of the land, because it has that power and authority to remove the highest man in the land, which is the president. But in exception of the president and the speaker who can be removed by Parliament, any other person, there are provisions for their removal, and some actually need the intervention of the Supreme Court or the courts of our land. So this is Parliament for you. This is a legislature. Please keep your questions and be writing them down so that when I finish up, you can ask all your questions. Okay. So I forgot to add one thing. You see, our parliament is just one chamber. In other jurisdictions, there are two chambers that work. Moving into Nigeria, they have two chambers. The House of Representatives, made up of 360 members elected from federal constituencies. They have different types. They have as much as 3 constituencies. Okay, they have the federal House, or should I say, yeah, they have the federal House constituency, they have the federal Senate constituency, and they have the state constituencies as well. Let me just explain the bicameralism over here. Nigeria has 2 chambers. So they have an upper house, which is their Senate, made up of 109 senators, and a president of the Senate, elected from among senators, with a deputy president, and the House of Representatives, made up of 360 representatives, elected from around the country as well. And then they are led by the Speaker of the House, elected from among them, assisted by Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives. These 2 chambers, they form the National Assembly of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. As you know, Nigeria is a federation. Ghana is a unicameral state, whilst Nigeria is a federal state. And what is the difference between unicameral and federalism? Unicameralism, power is centered in one, or is concentrated at one place. But federalism, power is splitted. The power of the people given to government is splitted within 2 hierarchies. The federal government, which is at the top, and the state government. Now the state as well, Nigeria, as you know, has 36 states. 36 states, you know some. Akwa Ibom, Lagos State, Cross River State, Sokoto State, etc. Each of these states have a governor elected from among the states, and they have a state house of assembly made up of not less than 20 to 40 members of the state house of assembly, with a speaker of the house elected from among them that serves as the legislature for that state. Okay, and for that particular state, they also have state constituencies. That is why I stated that Nigeria, in particular, when you are staying at a particular place, you are within 3 constituencies: a state constituency, a federal house constituency, and a Senate constituency. So when it comes to election, you know, in Ghana, we vote for 2 offices, right? In Nigeria, anytime they are voting, they vote for 5 people at a particular time. They vote for the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. They vote for a member of the House of Representatives. They vote for a member of the Senate. They vote for the governor of the state and a member of that state constituency they are voting at. So they vote for 5 people at a particular time, and he votes for 3. So simply, The difference between a one-house chamber, a one-house legislature, and a two-house chamber is that two houses do the same thing. They just split the job. You handle this, I'll handle this. Whilst a one house, all the job is done by one particular chamber. For example, in Parliament of Ghana, when President Mahama nominates people to become his ministers, it is our parliament that will vet them, right? Treaties will come, right? Budget will come, right? Audit report will come, right? Bills will come, right? All the duties of parliament will be done by that one chamber. But when you go to Nigeria, it is the Senate that vets nominees for ministers. It is the House that does audit reports. Both of them handle bills. But when a bill is passed by the Senate, it comes to the House for it to go through the process. When a bill is passed by the House, it goes through the Senate for it to go through the process before they go to the President, aka Jagaban, to assent to it. But the rule is that money bills must always emanate from the lower chamber. Any bill that has financial implications for the government cannot start in the upper chamber. So that is one rule. So it means the House mostly handles things on money, whilst the Senate mostly handles oversight and the rest. When we go to Kenya, for instance, Kenya, they don't practice federalism. They actually practice something we call the devolution. Not to confuse you, but when it comes to devolution is basically, yes, power is not concentrated in the central government. It is not also concentrated in the state government or county government. They share it in the sense that the central government still has power to overturn decisions of a county government. In Kenya, their states are called counties. Okay, so be on one page with me. When a county takes a decision, President Ruto or the Senate of Kenya can overturn that decision. That is how devolution is. But in federalism, the central government cannot overturn a decision of the state. That is the difference. So today, you have learned about unicameralism, federalism, and devolution. That is the difference. Please take notes, okay? I hope I'm not confusing you. I hope I'm not running too fast. Okay. I hope I'm not running too fast. Can I hear a response? Okay. Fantastic. We are on one page. So, now you know what a legislature is. Now, who is this speaker we are talking about? Most of you are speakers, but I can tell that you might not know or fully appreciate the duty and responsibility that falls on a speaker. So a speaker of parliament, basic knowledge is that the speaker of parliament is the head of parliaments, right? He's the head of the legislature. He's the head of the legislative arm of government. Those of you who did government would know that every government has three arms that have equal power and responsibility: the executive arm, the legislative arm, and the judicial arm. The speaker leads the judicial arm. Okay, so the speaker is the head of that arm. If there are two chambers, both of them head the legislative arm. For instance, in Nigeria, the chairman of the National Assembly is the president of the Senate, and the vice chairman of their National Assembly is the Speaker of the House of Representatives. They do it together. In Kenya, the chairman of their parliament is the Speaker of the National Assembly, whilst the vice chairman is the Speaker of their Senate. Okay, so it's all about what the law says, what their constitution says. And I am familiar with the constitution of Kenya, of that of Nigeria, as well as the constitution of the Republic of Ghana. The speaker, another basic functionality that you know, is that he is responsible for presiding over sittings of parliament, managing the affairs of the house, and any other duty as may be prescribed by the constitution or standing orders that guides that house. So if you are a speaker of parliament, first question to ask, do you have a constitution? Is there a constitution for the major body itself? Yes. If there is a constitution for the major body, your parliament cannot have a constitution again. We cannot have two constitutions in the same, should I say, level of government. No, there can only be one constitution. That is why parliament does not have a constitution, but has standing orders to regulate its proceedings. Take note of that. That is why Parliament of Ghana does not have a constitution, but they have the standing orders to regulate their proceedings. So the Speaker of Parliament basically should be able to perform duties stated in the Constitution, of which a quantum of them are lifted to the standing orders and expressed and elaborated, clarified, and then their provisions are expressly stated in it in order to make it easy for the speaker to preside. Yes. Judah, do you mind muting your mic? Yes, thank you very much. So, for Ghana, the eligibility to be elected as a Speaker of Parliament is that you must qualify to be elected as an MP. But when you become the Speaker and you are already elected as an MP, you immediately lose your seat as an MP. But in other jurisdictions, as I stated, for instance, in Nigeria, to be the president of the Senate, you need to be a senator before you can become the Senate's president, same as their House of Representatives. But in Kenya, it's just like ours. Before you can be the Speaker of the National Assembly or the Speaker of their Senate, you should not be a member of either of the houses. And if you are a member, immediately you are elected, you are no more an MP or a senator in Kenya. When you go to the United States as well, for them, their law does not restrict. A member of the House can be the Speaker of the House of Representatives of the United States of America. Likewise, if you are not a member of the House too, you can still be elected as the Speaker. For them, their constitution allows. But for a very long time now, they have only had members of the House becoming Speaker. Yes, they have only had members of the House. But in their constitution, the president of their Senate is the vice president. The president of their Senate is the vice president. Their constitution confines that role on the vice president to be the president of their Senate. But you'd be like, the vice president has a lot of things to do, right? Yes, clearly, Kamala Harris has a lot of things to do. So it is on ceremonial basis that you see here in the Senate presiding over plenary of the Senate of the United States. On most occasions, the president pro tempore, who is equivalent to the deputy president or equivalent to a deputy speaker in our parliament, presides over their sessions. Instead of calling him deputy president or vice president or deputy speaker, they call them president pro tempore. As I said, it's all about terminologies. In their House of Representatives, their deputy speakers are called speaker pro tempore. Those are the terminologies they use. When you go to some countries, for instance, when you go to the National Assembly of this country, it's not Switzerland, Netherlands. No, I'm not sure it's Netherlands, but there's a particular country. They don't have deputy speakers. They call them assistant speakers. So it's all about the terminology. So it depends on the jurisdiction. But in Ghana, if you're an MP, immediately you get elected as a Speaker of Parliament, you can no more be an MP. And it happened in the case of Right Honorable Do Ajahu, who was elected as the Member of Parliament for Aveno V in the Volta region. But on the 7th of January 2012, when he got nominated by the NEC to be the Speaker of the 6th Parliament, immediately he got elected as Speaker. His position as the Member of Parliament for Aveno Ave became vacant. So right after he took the seat as Speaker, someone else got elected through a by-election, as the Constitution mandates. So that is it for Ghana. Do you know the handsome man here? You know him, right? He's the Speaker of the decade. Yes, yes. For we in NASA, we call him our grandfather. We call him our grandfather because he's the speaker of all speakers. Indeed. His name is Right Honorable Alban Sumana Kingsogbagbin, the Speaker of the 8th Parliament of the 4th Republic of Ghana. He won the award as the Parliamentarian of the Decade. For the records, Alban Bagbin has been in Parliament since 1992. Since the first Parliament, he was elected as a Member of Parliament representing the people of Nadoli Kalio in the Upper West region, if I'm right. And he has been in the first Parliament, the second Parliament, the third Parliament, the fourth Parliament, the fifth Parliament, the sixth Parliament, up to the seventh Parliament. That is 28 concrete years as a Member of Parliament. The guy is a walking institution, and you cannot contest that because since 2020 to 2024, you have seen what he has done. MPP members will be like, no. Well, hold your reservations. We are talking about what? Facts and not opinions. This man basically has set the record. He has been presided or still presiding over a hung parliament. So basically, he has become the Speaker of the Decade. I must say, he is the president of the Conference of Speakers and Presiding Officers of African Legislatures as well. Is a man to be known. And if you don't know him right now. You can't say you don't know him. Enough with the hypes. But he's our man. Right Honorable Alban Bagbin. Before I go back to him as well, let me clarify something. I've heard from a few people saying that it's the clerk of parliament who swears in the members of parliament before the speaker comes in place. I'm sure those confusions came when they were looking at other chambers. I can accept the fact that when you come to Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa, Trinidad and Tobago, United States, no. But these parliaments that I mentioned, it is their clerk to parliament who swear in members of parliament before they elect the speaker. But when it comes to the United States of America and Ghana, members elect the Speaker of Parliament for the Speaker to take his oath. And after he takes his oath, before he swears in members of Parliament. Article 100 of the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana states that members of Parliament elect shall have the opportunity to participate in the election of the Speaker in order to get the Speaker elected before the Speaker shall admit the oath to them. That is what Article 100 says. Go and check it. So in Ghana, the clerk does not swear in members of parliament. The members of parliament come, and as you see, on the 7th of January 2025, at the inauguration of the 9th parliament, the clerk to parliament, Mr. Cyril Nsia, shall preside over the first sitting of parliament as the chairperson, acting in the capacity of the chairperson of the House or Parliament. The only occasion that we have chairperson of Parliament is when there is no substantive speaker, where the clerk to Parliament ought to preside. So at that particular contest, the clerk is not acting speaker, no. He is acting as the chairperson of the House, and he presides over the election of the speaker. For those of you who do not know how exactly it is done, there are two ways. If there is only one nominee for the office of the speaker, the person is nominated. On most occasions, it is the majority leader who nominates. And then when the House has brought concession or consensus on that particular person, we on most occasions have the minority leader seconding the nomination, which is evidence that what both sides of the House have concerted that this man should become their speaker. And in that particular contest, the Constitution says where there is only one nominee for the office of the speaker, that person shall be declared elected by the clerk without the conduct of elections or without the call for a voice vote. Not even a voice vote is conducted. If it is one nominee, the clerk just goes ahead after nomination and secondment to declare the person elect. And that happened in 1992. That happened in 1996. Both of them are Right Honorable Francis Daniel Annan. In 1990, in 2000 as well, it happened for Right Honorable Peter Alajete. But in 2004, there were two nominees. Right Honorable Peter Alajete was nominated by the NDC, of which the person who nominated him was Honorable Alban Sumana Kings of Babin when he was a member of parliament. And then the majority leader by then nominated Right Honorable Ebenezer Sechi Hughes. Yes, if I'm right. So in 2004, there were two nominees. So due to that, they have to conduct an election, and Ebenezer Sechi Hughes won. In 2028, it was just one nominee. 2020, sorry, not 2028, I beg you. In 2008, it was just one nominee, who was Right Honorable Justice Joyce Bamford Addo. Yes, Joyce Bamford Addo. And then in 2012, it was just one nominee, Right Honorable Doe Ajaho. In 2016 or 17, it was just one nominee, Right Honorable Professor Aaron Michael Kwe. In 2020, it was two nominees. So the same thing that happened in 2004 happened again. And those of you who could recall, you know, it was an election between the immediate past speaker and a new person. And unfortunately, history repeated itself if the incumbent speaker being defeated by the new person, which was Right Honorable Alban Gbadun. But I'm certain that on the 7th of January, it will only be one nomination, and that person will be consented to by both sides of the house, because it's about numbers, and it's always about numbers. When one side has the house, there is no iota of doubt that that person will surely win. That is why the Constitution says when there is only one nominee, the person shall be declared elected. So that is for your information. So now let's come to the focus of the day. How do you, a current speaker of a student parliament, or speaker of whatsoever parliament that you are of, or a member of parliament aspiring to be a speaker, or a deputy speaker who shall preside in the absence of the speaker, become effective at presiding over the house? The basic thing is that you have to master the act of parliamentary democracy. The act of parliamentary democracy. What do I talk about, or what do I mean when I talk about the act of parliamentary democracy? First of all, you understand democracy. Democracy is when the voice of everyone comes into place for decision making, aka elections. In parliamentary democracy, we are just talking about the fact that the voice of all MPs come in place for decision to be made. That is the basics of parliamentary democracy. It's talking about the fact that every MP is involved. And not only MPs, their constituents through the MPs, the entire nation through parliament, have their voice heard in decisions of parliament being taken. That is parliamentary democracy. And that is the compound. That is the compound of this entire thing. Before you can be an effective speaker, you need to understand parliamentary democracy, left, right, center, up, north, south, east, west, diagonal, and all the sides that are available on your compass. Now, if we are talking about understanding the act and mastering the act, what are the things that come into place? You need to understand motions. You need to understand amendments to motions. You need to understand interventional signs. The interventional signs that are available in your chamber. If you as a speaker, you don't even understand how the motion is, it's problematic. You don't understand the way motions are amended. You don't understand the interventional signs. What the interventional signs are, their relevance, and how you can use them as a speaker to effectively and smoothly preside over a house. Then you are getting nowhere. So you need to understand these things. As a Speaker of Parliament, or whosoever wishes to preside over a parliament effectively, need to understand the knowledge or have the knowledge of the standing orders and the constitution that governs your body. Because as a speaker, you are the custodian of the standing orders, and you must also be a master of the constitution, because the standing orders derive their power from the constitution. So you should not only know the standing orders, but also know the constitution. And it should not be a doubted experience or a doubted knowledge you should have. You should have an appreciable knowledge. And when I say an appreciable knowledge, is that when someone hears you speaking and sharing your opinion about constitutional provisions, their implications, and how things are supposed to be done, when they hear you speak, they'll just say, this man can do the job. I have no doubt. He is good. I get me. You need to have an appreciable knowledge of the standing orders and constitution. Because if you don't, the MPs will boot you around, knowing that their speaker does not understand the constitution or does not have an appreciable knowledge of his own standing orders. They'll quote things that are not existing and they'll confuse you. But if you know your left and right, you understand the laws that govern your body, no one will be able to toll you around because you are the master of the law. Don't get me confused with getting ignorant or getting pompous. It is different. But when you have an appreciable knowledge of the law that governs the body that you are leading, you will be able to take decisions that members will appreciate your knowledge and will give you credit for properly presiding over the house. And also, when you now have an appreciable knowledge of the house, you will be able to properly apply the rules fairly and consistently. There are two terminologies over here. Apply the rules fairly and consistently. When we talk about fairness, you are fair, you give equal attention and you give equal rulings to the left side of the house and give same to the right side of the house. When this member of parliament comes, you give the same fair hearing to him and to any other member. You don't become what? Should I say favoritism? You don't do favoritism. When you don't like him, you don't allow him to speak. No. You are fair to everyone. And consistently, you don't rule today that what he's saying is right. And tomorrow, when someone else says the same thing, you say it is wrong. No, you are not being consistent in your dealings. As a Speaker of Parliament, you should have that memory to remember your rulings and ensure that when you rule like this today, tomorrow you rule like that. You don't keep on changing and bending the rules because it doesn't favor you today, it favors you tomorrow. Are you getting me? This was why some people were very, very much annoyed when we heard Prof. Aaron Michael Kwe, who ruled on the controversial declaration of vacants of seats of those 4 people. He ruled on the Formula MP 4 years ago. And when the same ruling was applied, people were making case and he came that, oh, the ruling was wrong. If it was wrong, then why did you do it? Is it that today it does not favor you and your party, so you are taking a different side? It means Prof, please, with due respect, it means Prof was not consistent. And I can claim that he was not fair. Because if the rules were these that we used yesterday, if it was wrong, then you shouldn't have used it. These are the issues of consistency we are talking about. Are you getting it? If Alban Dobbin opposed that ruling yesterday, you should oppose it today too. But if yesterday you opposed it because it favors you and today you don't oppose it again because it doesn't favor you, then you're not being consistent. And it's not good for you as a Speaker of Parliament to be picking sides and be changing your sides and becoming clearly inconsistent because things don't favor you. You get me, right? Let's move on. The last point here is recognizing and addressing procedural irregularities. What are procedural irregularities? Clearly, procedural irregularities are things that are not consistent with the procedures outlined in the standing orders or the constitution of the body and the practices and conventions of the House. Procedural irregularities are things that are not consistent with the constitution, the standing orders, any other documents that has come before the House, institutional memory, practices and conventions of the House. So you as the Speaker should know all these things, the Constitution, the practices of the House, the conventions of the House, the standing orders, earlier rulings by former speakers, earlier laws being passed. So when you see procedural irregularities, you have to address them by stating that, honorable member, we have done this before and it wasn't done as such. This is clearly a procedural irregularity. The Constitution says that it has to be done as such, and I rule that what you are bringing is an irregularity and it is clearly overruled. We shall not entertain this in this House. It means you are able to address it. But if you don't know, how can you? Knowledge, and knowledge. Knowledge is knowing the thing. Wisdom is applying it. If you don't have knowledge, maybe if God is so good and he gives you something small, maybe the Holy Spirit says something, maybe you'll be able to apply wisdom. But wisdom needs the backing of knowledge. So if you don't know anything, why are you going to get the wisdom to properly apply it? So in order for you to even identify procedural irregularities, you have to know the law. You have to know the practices. You have to know the conventions. You have to know the precedents, the rulings and the precedents being laid in that House in order for you to identify procedural irregularities and address them and overrule them. However, we know about the law of equity. Equity, basically. Sometimes common sense will have to apply. But those are exceptional cases. So you have to know the law. So when you are able to put these four things together, you'll be able to master the act of parliamentary democracy and you'll be able to effectively preside over a parliament as a speaker or become an effective speaker. Now let's go deep into each of them. For you to become a guardian of the parliamentary democracy, it's about ensuring fair and orderly proceedings. When you are presiding, there should be order in the House. Okay? It is not when you are presiding that members are gallivanting, they are moving around, there is noise in the House. The House is not in any order. Very small, the House goes into disarray. Everything becomes discombobulated and people are just moving around, clearly out of order. No. It is not good for you. If you want to be an effective speaker, your proceedings must be orderly and fair. Now, as the speaker as well, you should be able to protect the rights of members. For instance, the law or the standing order says that a member shall make a statement for 2 minutes. And the person has started making the statement, and then there is one person over there raising points of order. And then when you give him the opportunity, he's like, the person has already spoken for 2 minutes. Once we all know it is not up to 2 minutes. You have to protect the rights of that person and overrule that point of order and says that the member in question has not even exhausted what is stated in the standing orders. So please allow him to finish. That is when you are protecting the right. Right to a right to fair hearing and other similar rights that a member of parliament may be accorded. You should be able to protect them. And you should be fair. And if you are protecting it for this person, protect it for that person. I have seen about Badun doing it. Both members of the NDC MPP, they'll be asking, Speaker, protect me. Oh, I seek for your protection, Mr. Speaker. It means they are calling on the Speaker to protect them and give them fair hearing, not to allow members to disrupt their presentations and then all those. So those are protection of rights. Those are protection of rights. Now, the next one is upholding parliamentary rules and traditions. I've already spoken on that. You need to know. If you know them, that is when you can uphold these parliamentary rules, the standing orders, and traditions of the House, which are the conventions and then all those. And then you need to be impartial and objective. Objectivity. Now, when we come to objectivity, some people might not be clear in their mind what exactly it means. You have been hearing people saying, oh, this particular thing is objective and this particular thing is subjective. Then maybe your man will go straight to WASI exams and like, oh, objective, so he'll be choosing options and subjective, you write essay. No. What we mean by objectivity and subjectivity basically is that when we say something is objective, we mean that the facts surrounding that thing are uncontested. A is A when it comes to that particular thing. It means the thing is objective. For instance, there is no doubt in our mind that the president-elect of Ghana is John Dramani Mahama. It is clearly an objective matter. There is no doubt in our mind that the president is the commander-in-chief. So that is clearly an objective matter. It is something we all know. It is not in contest. So when we are talking about maintaining objectivity, is that you should assert to the right things and factual things. You should assert to the factual things. So far as the fact is clear, it is uncontested. You should be objective around it. You should not be bending the rules clearly, because the fact is uncontested. And what is subjectivity? Subjectivity is that the rules or the facts are not clear. Or should I say, it depends on your understanding, the ethnicity of the person, the way the person was groomed, and then all those things come into place when it comes to subjectivity. The way I think will be different from the way you think. The way Edmond would think is different from me. So when it comes to some matters that are subjective, the way he will rule on it will be different from mine, because it is not something that is well established in our minds. So those are subjectivity. So those ones, they depends on you, your knowledge. But things that are clearly objective, you should defend them. That is all we are talking about over here. Going to the next slide. As a Speaker of Parliament who wants to be effective, my brother, my sister, your English, you have to hit it. English is part of communication, right? The language. Your language should not be contested. You should not be breaking. No, I don't want to use that. You should not be making some, unconventional mistakes and that's when you are speaking. Your English should just be pepper, concord, subject-verb agreements, pronunciations, singular and plurality. Those basic English stuff, Sally, you should get them on right, and then the verbosity, eloquency. Yes, some of you, when we give you the mic right now, when you start speaking the English, you just be clapping, Charlie. The English just be come out. Wow. It helps. It helps to have a speaker who speaks very good English. Because when your English is good, you gain the attention of members. And then you'll be able to properly communicate. Okay. Now, communication, for the act of communication to be complete, is when the sender is able to send the message to the receiver and the receiver is able to decode it and get the true interpretation of the message being sent thereof. Communication is not complete if the receiver does not understand the message and the intentions of the sender. So when we are talking about effective communication, language is just the foundation. The language that you are using to communicate is just the foundation. Now, you can speak the best English, your English can be eloquent, but if you fail to communicate to the people, when you talk, they are not understanding, they are only hearing gibberish, or they are just hearing someone rapping, you are not communicating. And clearly, a speaker who fails to communicate would not be able to effectively preside over the house. That is why effective communication skills is paramount to being an effective Speaker of Parliament. Because if you are not effective in communication, you don't have good communication skills, on how are you going to even rule on matters? How are you going to control the House? How are you going to be effective? How are you going to be objective? How are you going to be impartial? How are you going to be fair? How are you going to interpret the rules of the House? Clearly, communication. And what comes in place when we are talking about effective communication? Number one, active listening and attentive observation. Active listening and attentive observation. You should not always be interested in being the one speaking. You to listen to us more. In fact, the job of the speaker, you need to listen before you can do anything. If you don't hear what members are saying, how are you going to even say anything? So as a speaker, you need to have active listening skills. Listen to what they are saying on floor before you can say anything otherwise. You need to listen to them in order to control them. If you are not listening to them, you want to be the only one speaking. How? I'm not sure you can even do your job if you are not if you are not an active listener. An attentive observation in the sense that not everyone will speak. Some people will use gestures to communicate with you. Some people will be able to read their body language to pick a message that they are trying to send. Some people, when you look at them, you should be able to understand their mood and how to deal with them. An active or attentive observation is part of the skills. The next point is clear and concise articulation of rulings and decisions. Yes, clear and concise articulation of rulings and decisions in the sense that you want to rule on this particular matter. Now, if I give you the opportunity to even tell me what you want to rule about, you are not even able to bring the words together to make sense, for me to make sense out of it. Clearly, it means you are not able to articulate the ruling. And the rulings, whatever you are saying, is not even clear. You are still beating around the bush. You are not hitting the matter. This is the subject matter. And all you are saying, you are just clearly not even touching the matter at all. We are talking about something else that does not have anything to do with the matter. And it's clearly out of the box, inconsequential, and then I just don't even know which word to use for it. If someone can give me a word, I'll happily use it. Discombobulated. Your thoughts are clearly discombobulated. Clearly, yes. So please, clear and concise articulation. Clear. Your message should be clear. Concise. It's not about talking plenty. Sometimes the best rulings are the short ones. The best rulings are the short ones. If you have to now come and talk about history of this and that, then you need to let them know that you want to give a preamble to your ruling. But apart from that, just hit it straightforward. Honorable member, you did this and that. Our rules does not allow. On that note, your order is overruled. Please be of good behavior and remain seated. Thank you. You bang the gavel and you move. Your rulings and your decisions should be clear and concise. And you need to speak. You need to communicate to do that. The next one is ability to explain complex procedures in simple terms. Ability to explain complex procedures in simple terms. You saw how I clearly elaborated unicameralism and bicameralism to you. You saw how I clearly enumerated unitarian system, the federal system, and the evolutionary system of governance to you. I didn't use AI. They are all from my head because I understand what it is. And I told you in the simplest term for you to pick it up. Assuming I came and then I'm just reading AI to you with vocabularies, I'm not sure you even understand. So ability of the speaker to explain complex procedures in simple terms would help the house. Not all the people there are verbose like you. Some of them are even lazier than you, and then you now come using plenty vocabularies and stuffs that they don't even understand. It's not the best. So you as an effective speaker should be able to explain very sophisticated stuffs in simple terms for them to understand. Another one is maintaining composure and professionalism under pressure is a very important thing. And those of you in UCC, you know Right Honorable Edmond, right? He is very composed and professional in his dealings. A very fresh one, of course. I'm sure the female speakers and members are crashing on him. Eddie, you know me so?
I'm a Roman father, please.
Okay. I was just using him as yes. I'm not sure I've met Eddie before though, but from all I've seen, he's very composed. And as a speaker, you need composure. Okay. As a speaker, you need composure. You should never be seen being angry in the chamber. You should not be seen getting angry. You should not be seen getting confused. You know, in fact, even if you are confused, it shouldn't be obvious. You just need to maintain composure, because when you are well composed, you give confidence to the members that you know what you are doing. And then professionalism, what we mean by that is clearly you shouldn't insult. You shouldn't speak unparliamentary, use unparliamentary words. You should not defame. Those normal styles that don't even align well to you as a professional. Someone who is good at what you do. Whatever you do should not offend the people in objective context. That is all we are talking about. Just do your job well. When there's pressure on you, you don't need to be walking around, hey, I get you, shit, wahala don't come on. No. Even if wahala is there, sip some wine. I beg, don't go and buy wine, I beg you. Just go and buy some Rash B or just some Fanta. Sip it small and think over it and make your ruling. Your composure and professionalism as a speaker is very important, because if you are not well composed and professional in your dealings, the members of parliament will lose confidence in your ability to preside over the house and handle matters that they bring forth to you. So you really need to be composed in your dealings. Hosting impartiality and fairness. I spoke about that. You need to avoid being biased and prejudiced. You understand being biased. I'm not sure most of you understand when we talk about prejudice. What we mean by prejudice is that a matter is being brought before you to adjudicate. Okay? To adjudicate. Even if you have information about the matter, allow them to lay facts before you, and you work with the facts that are presented to you. If you have foreknowledge about the information, it's been seen that you are prejudiced to the matter, and therefore your verdict is highly likely to be impartial, is highly likely to be, I don't want to say corrupt, but your verdict is highly likely to not be fair, because you already know about the matter, you thought about it before they even brought it. So you don't even want to listen to them. So being prejudiced is that you have information about the matter and have already taken a decision before they even bring it to you. As a good speaker, let them bring the facts to you, and you work with the facts that are available and the issues being presented. You don't go and bring a rumor somewhere that you have heard in order to, use it to preside over the matter. No, that is basically being prejudiced to the matter. In some particular context, you need foreknowledge, but when it comes to issues of being fair, you should work with the facts that are being presented to you. Give all members fair opportunity to be heard. You know already. Uphold dignity and respect to the house. It's important. And ensure equal treatment for all parties. That you know. The next one is being good at conflict resolution and mediation. Now, how do you mean by conflict resolution and mediation? Conflict resolution is how to resolve a conflict. That is it. That is all conflict resolution is. And some people do not have the skill to resolve a conflict being brought before them. It could be that because they don't know how a lawyer acts. Sometimes they might not need to know, but some people naturally are gifted when it comes to conflict resolution. If you are not gifted, you can still learn it. You can still learn it. As a speaker, you need to be good at resolving conflicts. You cannot be the cause to a conflict. If you are the cause to the conflict, I don't know how you are going to resolve it though. But you as well should have that skill to resolve. And resolving conflicts is just very simple. Don't make each of the parties angry. Listen to them. Try to explain matters to them. Get them all on one page. And whatever is wrong is wrong. Whatever is right is right. All those bases has to be established. And then after that, you help them to reach a common ground. A consensus should be reached. That is how you resolve conflicts. And in parliament, all we do is basically resolving conflicts. Most of the matters that come, if the speaker does not handle it well, you see a lot of uproars, you hear a lot of uproars, you hear a lot of people making, walkouts? Yes. That is what happens if the speaker is quite poor at conflict resolution. When the thing becomes too much, clearly the speaker is poor at conflict resolution. Some of them might be politically backed. But the ones that are just, it's just objective. You understand the matter. How are you having difficulty in addressing this one? And no, me, I don't get it. Yeah, there are simple matters that you should not have issues addressing. And how do you do that? You need to identify and diffuse tensions. When there are tensions between MPs, you can decide to suspend the House and go and speak to them and reduce the tension and diffuse the tension. If you know that when the proceedings continue, fight will start, suspend the House and dissolve onto the members and sort them out in camera. What I mean in camera is that without videos, if you are streaming, you stop the streaming stuff and sort out the issues. And in sorting out the issues, you have to mediate the disputes between the members. Some of them you need to do it on floor. But when the matter will become so bad that Charlie, if you don't suspend the House, it will become an embarrassment to the House. Then you just suspend the House and look at it. But some of them you can do them House presiding. If you know your members will better handle themselves and can do it during proceedings, then you do it well. But if you cannot, suspend the House and attend to them. And after you are back to plenary, you maintain order and decorum. You promote constructive dialogue and compromise. We agree to disagree. Honorable Chairman Saboso has been saying that. In Parliament, we agree to disagree. Parley, talking. I might have this opinion, but so far as we end up agreeing on this, then we move with it. Consensus building. So that is it all. Constructive criticisms and compromise. That is all about Parliament. And the skill comes in the Speaker's ability to manage these issues. So if you don't have that skill to be able to manage conflicts, then you will not be effective in your dealings. That's all we are talking about. The next one is you need good leadership skills and decision-making skills. Okay, as a speaker, you need to be decisive. When we talk about being decisive, is that your A is A. When we read this decision, you keep to it. Okay, some decisions that should be easy for you to take shouldn't take you 100 days to take it. Like, it's just clear that this is how things should go. Why are you taking so much time? These are issues that sometimes annoys members of Parliament. This is a very simple matter, and it is taking you 10 days to solve this issue. What is your problem, Mr. Speaker? What is your problem at all? Being decisive is what? When it is relevant for you to take this action, take it. For the sanctity of the House to be maintained, you need to make informed and impartial rulings. Your rulings should not always be seen as favoritisms. That is why you remembered even the defense minister once said this. When you're always winning matters at court, something is wrong. It's either the judge is biased or you are using something fictitious. Sometimes you have to lose more. So when the rules are right and they are not bent, it's not all the time that you win. It's not all the time that you win. Making informed decisions and rulings is that the members know this matter. The matter is objective in its nature. So when you are referring to these laws and then these conventions in order to make your ruling, it's not something so far away from them. They know it is there. They also know the law. That is what you mean by informed and impartial rulings. Guiding debates and discussions. When there are debates in the House, you need to hear the debates. And there are ways you can hear these debates. There are rules, time management, the people to call. People who have not spoken should speak some more. People who are always speaking should speak less, so that everyone gets heard. And effective discussions. When the House wants to go into disarray, you cool down tensions. Other members resume your seats. All interventional signs teas. Yes, you just need to properly manage the House. And all these are good leadership skills and decision-making skills. You need to be clear in your mind on what to do at every particular point in time. That's why I'm saying that you must not be seen confused as a speaker. Your head has to be sharp, taking decisions on feet. At every point in time, any matter that arrives in your head, you already know your left and right and what to do. Yes, that's all we are talking about. And when you do all these things, you inspire confidence and respect among members. Members will be like, oh, this guy there, he knows his job. I'm confident in his abilities to resolve this matter. I know he can handle it. But if you are a speaker and then when they bring this matter, oh, Mr. Speaker cannot handle it. I'm not encouraged to bring it. It's a big question mark. Say, Madam, sorry, Right Honorable, say, Right Honorable Madam. It's a big question. If when matters come and then your members are not confident in your ability to resolve it or your ability to preside over it, then there's a question mark on you. There's a question mark on you. You need to have that ethical conduct. You know, ethical conduct. Ethics. You understand ethics, while we are talking about right and wrong. Unfortunately, when it comes to right and wrong, on most occasions, it is subjective. What I see as right could be wrong to you. It depends on where I'm born at, my ethnicity, my religion, where I'm being grown at, my family. All those things could decipher what is right and wrong. Okay? But when it comes to ethics, in every community, there are rights and wrongs. And when we are all clear that this is right and this is wrong, in ethics, you need to uphold them. You need to uphold it. That is all we are talking about. What is right, and we all know it is right. It's right. It shouldn't be wrong today. And a highly ethical speaker would uphold the right and will always not back the wrong. In cases that you have to turn the table around, and it has to be obvious that that is the best way out. That is why we are talking about compromise. As a speaker, you need to uphold the highest standards. The highest standards. Okay? You need to act with integrity and transparency. Members should not have doubts in their mind of the kind of person you are. They should have confidence in you. These are issues we are talking about. You should avoid being the cause or having conflict of interest. That's why I'm talking about prejudice. If you have foreknowledge about a particular matter, that you know the matter is about you, the best thing to do is to let someone else preside. When you have conflict of interest in that particular matter, and in you presiding will generate issues. A very ethical speaker will allow someone else to preside. You declare that I have interest in this and I do not want to preside over this. Clearly, how does this conflict of interest matter affect? In the sense that when you have conflict in the particular matter, your ruling is sure, or the way you act is like we just know how you act. When you have conflict of interest in a particular matter, the members are able to determine how you act and what you do and what you say. And what you say. And it is not good when it is a matter that is clearly contested and both sides are divided on such a matter. So when you have conflict of interest in such a matter, tell them that no, you have conflict of matter in this, you have conflict of interest in this particular matter, and you like someone who does not have that conflict of interest and not prejudice to the matter to preside over it. These are issues about high standards we are talking about. Maintaining confidentiality. When a matter has to be kept as a secret, it should be kept as a secret. That's it. People don't share secrets with you and you come saying it to everyone. They will lose trust in you. When a matter is supposed to be highly confidential, keep it as such. Upholding the public trust, I already spoke about it. They need confidence and trust in you. You need to, the need for continuous learning and development. As you are doing right now, clearly you are learning from all that I'm saying, and you are keeping abreast with the developments. As a speaker as well, you need to keep abreast with current affairs and legal developments. You need to be listening to news, to be checking Facebook to see what is ongoing. Me, anytime I come on Facebook and start, it is not pictures of girls and stuff that I go and see. I want to know what is happening in government, what is happening in parliament, what is happening in the court, what is happening in my society, in order to be abreast with matters that are coming out. These are things that I look out for, so that no one will come in. Have I heard this that has happened 1 week, 2 weeks ago, and I don't have any information about it? It means I'm not abreast with current affairs. You need to seek professional development opportunities, just as this. NASSG is basically made or was founded to teach speakers how to be better at what they do. So in doing so, you are seeking professional development opportunities. learning from experienced speakers. Right Honorable Edmond had been speaker before. If you are the current speaker in a JCR, an association, or the current SRC speaker, when you go and seek advice and learn from his experience and seek for his mentorship, you are basically keeping abreast with what is going on so that you be on the right path. Don't be ashamed or don't be shy of approaching Edmond for advice because he has been there before and he can give you advice. And adapting to the changing circumstances and challenges. You understand that already. You need to embrace modern tools and technologies. Time is going. Things are changing. Gone were the days Parliament of Ghana were not streaming their sittings. Now they stream all their sittings. So you need to start streaming all your sittings. You see people, start streaming your sittings and adapt to technology. And adapt to technology. Parliament of Ghana started streaming when he was getting to the end of Doajaho's tenure. Getting to the end of the tenure of, or should I say the 6th Parliament. That was when they started streaming all their sittings. One were the days it was only State of the Nation's address and major decisions that they stream on TV. But now they stream all sittings. So if impact Parliament as well, we stream all our sittings. So please try and adapt. Adapt to the changing communication technologies. Now, when you are recording, your voices should be clear, the camera should be better, those things. Explore innovative approaches and parliamentary procedures. I'll be ending soon, so be writing your questions and I'll answer them all. So the second to last, or basically the last. So what makes you, in conclusion, what makes you an effective speaker? Clearly, don't forget to build relationship with your colleagues. Okay. You need to dissolve into the members of parliament and understand them. Get close to them. When they have that feel of you that you care about them, their respect for you increases, and there is clearly a mutual respect for each other. Some boundaries are not to be stepped on. Yes, clearly, we understand that. But some of them, get close to them. Me, all my MPs, I always have their numbers saved. I have their numbers saved. Once in a blue moon, I chat them. Bro, what's up? How is everything? Yes, you can check their status, comment some, they'll check yours. Yes, you should, if you are a speaker and don't have the contact of all your officers, should I say you have a problem or you have a solution? Edmond will comment on that. Please remember to comment on it. Yes, you should have. So even me as NASSG chairman, I have the contact of every single member who has been added to the NASSG platform. I have all their contacts. And if you ask me today, even the speakers that came before Honorable Edmond, I can get to all their contacts. Yes, it is very important. All members of Youth Impact Parliament, all youth MPs and senators, I have their contacts. You have to. You need to promote positive and inclusive environment. You need to work closely to achieve common goals. Even before sitting, Parliament does pre-sitting meeting. Those are meetings to hold you, the leaders, to understand what is going to happen. If they have an agenda, they should let you know so that you know how you do things. Before the treasurer comes to present the budget, you need to see the budget. If members of parliament want to do this, they should let you know. Because if you are the speaker and you don't have information, it will be difficult for you. Call on your members that anything they want to do, they should let you know so that you will be able to better preside over the house. They should not be surprising you. The last time Right Honorable Abandon was surprised during presiding, he complained. He said they were talking about this particular bill. He hasn't even seen the bill before. And he's surprised it is in his parliament. He's the one who has the right to approve bills before they can even be presented. But they are talking about the bill even being laid. He hasn't even seen it before. Yeah. So please, let your members know anything they want to do is a big issue. They should inform you so that you can better preside over the house, especially if you be streaming, if people be coming around, your HOD be coming around, outsiders be coming, and then all these things are happening. It becomes an embarrassment. So you need to get close to them so that they can inform you of these things, so that you don't have issues when presiding. Your deputies as well, train your deputy speakers so that they will be equally as good as you. For me, my deputy speakers, I took that opportunity to train them. So even if I'm not around, they can do basic things. It's just the very one, it's just the very, should I say, superior ones, and then all those that might be an issue that they wouldn't be able to handle. But you should be able to. And please, there is more time for us to talk. This brings me to the end of my presentation, and I thank you very much. Thank you so much, and I'm now open for questions.
Yes, please. Thank you very much, Wise Chair. May you live long. This has been a wholesome session. I believe we've all learned something and made taking note of what has been shared with us. That being said, we move to the question and answer session. And with that, you raise your hand and you would be called to ask a question. However, we'll do it in batches, 3 questions uh, per batch. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, let's hear you. Mr. Joshua Tete, let's hear you.
Oh, all right, all right. Thank you very much. Okay, so you are saying we'll take the questions in threes, and then my question, actually have 3 questions, so I don't know how we will do it. Okay, but I think I'll go on. When Right Honorable was speaking, he made mention of the point that Parliament is the highest court of the land, and then it's a bit inconsistent with my knowledge from my knowledge, because we learned back in school, and then we all know that we have 3 arms of government. What's the name? The executive body, the legislature, and then the judiciary. And then the judiciary is the court. So he's saying that Parliament is the highest court of the land is a bit inconsistent, and I would like him to throw more light on it, because his explanation didn't really settle down with me. Secondly, he also made mention about consistency. You have to be a very good Speaker of Parliament. He made mention about consistency, and you should be consistent in your judgments. We have this quote in Akan, that's in Sankofa Yinchi, and then I would want to know if let's say you once in your lifetime make a judgment on something, and then you are supposed to go back to it and then make a different judgment, because the first judgment is a bit inconsistent. I want to know if is parliamentary. I mean, it's not accepted in the. I want to know if it's still accepted or not accepted, because he made mention. He used an example of I think the former Speaker of Parliament, and then he going back to see the removal of some of the MPs from their seats is not constitutional and all that and all that. I want to know if you make a mistake, or let's say you make a judgment and then you later realize that the judgment wasn't really good. Is it an offense, or does it mean you should still stick with the bad one when another opportunity comes? And lastly, I realized he used some, let me see, some pidgin, and then some, this Gen Z generation have our own language. I want to know his take on introducing this Gen Z thing into our parliament, like the pidgin, and then these attempts like steez and then aura and all those things. I want to know his take on it. Is it parliamentary? Is it right, or is it wrong, or how should we go about it? Because the world is moving very fast. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Mr. Chairman, will you answer them now, or we should ask the remaining 3? The remaining 2, sorry.
Okay, if other 2 people are ready, they should also ask. Then I'll attend to all of them.
Yeah. Mr. Daniel Nikwe, your hand was raised.
Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, please speak. I hear you.
Yeah. Mr. Speaker, I think my question has already been asked by the first speaker, so I think it's okay. It can proceed.
Yes, Right Honorable Rashid, your hand was raised. Let's hear you. Oh, it seems his network isn't connecting. Can we have the TTU speaker ask his question? All right, let's have Mr. Herbert Dankwa. Mr. Herbert Dankwa, let's hear you. Your mic is off.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Good evening, right honorable members. My network is unstable, so I'm sorry. But please, I wanted to ask something in relation to conflict of interest and the attitude of, some honorable members. The right honorable Jones made a very crucial comment about people's attitude when it comes to people going over the right frame of, let's say, attitude we expect from them. It means that the speaker is not having control over the house. But I think that is something that, to me, I need a bit of enlightenment about it, because that is not being met up. They may like to go beyond the expected norms, and that also goes against the speaker per what he's saying. So I need an enlightenment on it. And secondly, about the conflict of interest, there will always be issues that may conflict something that maybe, let's say, your interest in an issue. Actually, recently there was something that happened in University of Ghana. So before I became the speaker, prior to our elections, one honorable member was trying to put some, let's say, schemes or interests that wasn't favoring him. But because of his attitude, it affected the whole house. And regardless of what the speaker did, it still affected all of us. And in that particular scene, I felt like these things are mostly what is being replicated even in the national parliament. And it's not all the time that the speaker will have situations, and you too, you have your interest. Should you stop and say you will not preside over that issue for your deputy to come and preside, or should you always be running away from things that are of your interest? And how would that be beneficial to the house? Is there no way to tackle those kind of issues? So I believe my questions are very clear. Thank you very much. Honorable Herbert, I'm the Speaker of Parliament for University of Ghana. Thank you for the
Thank
opportunity.
you very much, Mr. Speaker. So, before we take
Okay.
His Excellency Right Honorable Hakim Enyan Steve, let's have our chairman answer his questions.
Okay. Um, if Hakim would ask a question, he could go ahead. But if he wants to make a statement, then I could answer the question first.
Oh, okay. His Excellency Right Honorable, you have the floor. Sorry.
Okay, so he should go ahead. It was just a statement to answer what he was talking about, but then if you want to take it.
Okay. Okay, then let me answer and then you complement the answers I'll give. Okay. Uh, Thank you very much, right honorable speakers, for listening to me.
So they can go ahead.
The first question Justice Tete asked, which is the social studies book says that the highest court of the land is the Supreme Court, and I gave something inconsistent with that. Yes, I concur to the fact that that is what the social studies book say. But you can all attest to the fact that the Supreme Court, although it is the Supreme Court, it is not every matter that it is not, it's not every matter that is within its jurisdiction. And I think Hakim will speak to that. Although it is the Supreme Court, it is not every matter that it has jurisdiction to rule on. And the first matter that I've cited is the removal of the president. The impeachment and the removal of the president does not have judicial intervention from the Supreme Court. And the president is the highest government official of the land. So if the highest government official of the land, when it is time to remove him, the Supreme Court has no say, would you say the Supreme Court is the highest court? That is the issue, okay? The Supreme Court is the Supreme Court. It is the one with should I say, is the highest adjudicatory body in the Republic of Ghana. It is the highest adjudicatory body. Any issue that comes to judiciary that needs judicial intervention, the topmost and apex court of the land is the one that has the say on it. But its jurisdiction ends when it comes to judicial intervention. The constitution that gives it its power says that when it comes to the removal of the president shall be dealt with by parliament, in parliament, and before parliament, and not the Supreme Court. So it is the same constitution that created the Supreme Court that has given the same power to parliament to remove the president without a judicial intervention. So the social studies books say that, and I know, but the reality of the fact is that the Supreme Court does not have ultimate jurisdiction. It still has limited jurisdiction due to that. Okay, most matters will end up, every matter of judicial intervention will end up at the Supreme Court, and there is no other court that you can go to apart from the Supreme Court to end it. Whatever the Supreme Court says on that matter that needs judicial intervention ends at the Supreme Court. But when it comes to the removal of the president, it only goes to parliament. That is why we say that parliament is the actual highest court of the land and not the Supreme Court. So that is the clarity to it, Honorable Justice Tete. And then you cited the example I made with consistency. Yes, your rulings must be consistent because they become a precedent you are laying. We call them the rulings of the speaker. It becomes precedence and practice. Okay, so when a speaker makes this ruling, we expect the next speaker to continue. The reason why I stated that what Prof did the last 4 years and today he's giving a different opinion is inconsistent is that you are saying good, today it is good and tomorrow it is bad. Good and bad is subjective. I've stated over and over again that good and bad is subjective. It depends on your beliefs, where you are coming from, your ethnics, and then all those things. That determines good and bad. So when something is good to me, it doesn't mean it will be good to you. That is why good and bad is subjective. But the fact still remains that it is inconsistent. What he has done is, if he has done a ruling today, we expect the next speaker to do it. That is what the rulings of the speaker expects that should go on. If a former speaker have ruled this way, we expect the next speaker to follow the book of the rulings of the speaker to do so, because that is the precedent that has been established. Unless we want to all come and we are all on the same page, But on a matter that is heavily contested by both sides, dependent on good and bad, is subjective. And the best thing to do is to use the precedents being laid. And the precedents being laid was what Prof did. So if Prof is now saying what he did was wrong, it sounds like a child's play. Are you getting me? It sounds like a child's play. Because when it comes to parliamentary practice, and even when it comes to the law, when a precedent has been laid, a precedent has been laid, and that is it. When you go to the law court, they're always making reference to this case, that case, this versus this and that. These are all precedents that we are going by. You come and say, oh, my lord, this one is not good again, so I don't like it. It's a child's play. So the same issue happens in parliament. When the precedent is being laid, until we all want to destroy that precedent, we'll do it. But when the matter is being contested by both sides, the precedent is being adapted to, and that is what is expected that you do as speakers. That is why I'm saying that for Prof, good and bad is subjective. We expect him to go by the rulings because that was the precedent he laid. So that is my explanation to that. And then the third is that jargons used in parliament. These jargons, it has to be an accepted jargon by the House for it to be used. Okay, right now I'm not in parliament, so I'm just using them so that you guys can get what exactly I'm saying. If it is a jargon that is being accepted by your parliament, then you adapt to it. In your parliament, they can use Charlie. Oh, Honorable Charlie. Yes, if it is what is being accepted and it is not classified as unparliamentary language, no problem. Okay, so it has to be something that is accepted by the entire House, that this is how we speak and engage yourselves, and these are the terminologies that you use. Coming back to Right Honorable Herbert's question, attitude of members. I stated that when the members are fooling and they are not doing well, it means you are not being effective. Yes, it still means you are not being effective, because an effective speaker, no matter the issue, you should be able to handle it. Okay, if you know this person is coming to cause havoc, you should be able to stop him before the havoc comes. If you know this person is going to be troublesome, that is why I said if you know a matter will escalate, suspend the House and go and deal with it back door. But if you allow the matter to persist and it escalates, you are basically losing grip of the House. And when the House goes into disarray, you are the one to be blamed for it, for not effectively managing the House. I've presided over youth parliament and over very controversial matters, but matters have never escalated under my control. You can go and check all the recordings I use in parliament. Very, very hot matters and difficult matters do come, but I've presided over them. But when I allow my deputies to take control, matters become so bad that I needed to come and take the chair again. It's because clearly they are not really that good with the skill of managing. But if you are an effective speaker, before the matter will escalate, you kill it. That is why you need to know the agenda boys. If they are coming to do an agenda, tell them that you not tolerate any agenda. If they start, you kick them out. And sometimes when you are very strict and they know you don't tolerate any nonsense, they will not bring it. How they know this speaker there, anything you accept, they will bring it to your house. That is why you need to establish the status quo that when it comes to me, I'm not tolerating this nonsense. Don't bring it to my chamber. I will sack you out. Hakim can attest to some of these things. When you know the member will misbehave, clear him before he does that. Or you make it known to him that I will not tolerate this in my chamber. And when he does it and you keep to your words, then he knows this speaker doesn't tolerate nonsense. I think Hakim has done it before. Someone comes, I think someone have come to his chamber and then the guy was fooling, he kicked the guy out. Says, until you have resolved your matter, don't enter my house. Clearly, that is what we do. If they know that this speaker doesn't fool and you not tolerate their nonsense, they will not bring it there. No matter how controversial the matter is, if they know the speaker will not tolerate nonsense, it will not come. And before the nonsense will come, you should kill it before it comes. And those are skills that you need to learn, how to kill matters. Sometimes you have to be very hot on members and let them know that some things there you not tolerate. And when they know, they will not step on your toes. Okay. I can tell you that a lot of things could have happened if Alban Daglin had been a rubber stamp speaker. But those things couldn't have happened because they know he will not tolerate it. They know he will stand against it. And for peace to prevail, they will not. For peace to prevail, they will not. That is why sometimes you see him, he just goes so hard on members and gives it to them. He doesn't care whether you are in the NDC side or NPP side. When the thing is on, he'll give it to you and tell you his mind. I'm not saying you should be telling MPs your mind every time, please. There's a diplomatic way you can do these things, okay? There's a diplomatic way you can clear your stand with members. And when they know, they will ensure that they don't step on your bad foot or the bad side of your bed. That is all I'm talking about. And then you also asked a question on conflict of interest. Yes, the speaker on most occasions would have interest in some matters. It's not all matters. For me, one way that helps me to avoid having interest in issues is that when I come to the chair, I'm interested in how I can preside over the house for me to close the sitting. I'm always interested in how I can manage time for us to close early. So because I'm interested in how I can manage time for us to close early, I wouldn't get interested in the substantive matter that they are bringing. Your interest becomes very obvious when the members are saying this, and it's like you are agreeing with one side. Clearly, your interest becomes obvious. That is where it is a problem. I might have an interest in something, but so far as I cannot show it, you cannot say that I have an interest in that. Until my stand was clear before the sitting, then in that particular case, I declare my interest and I do not preside. But if you don't know my interest and I tell you that I just have interest in presiding over the house for us to close early, that one is not in context because that is basically my job. My interest is to do my job and I want to do my job. So if you clearly have an interest in the matter, you presiding over the matter, you will spoil the issue. Because clearly when this person is speaking, you are nodding, you are saying, yeah. When that person is speaking, you are frowning. Your interest has become so obvious. And it is not good when it comes to, when it's not really good for the house. When you, the speaker, it is clear that you are on this side of the house. That is what I'm saying. If you are, your interest is obvious. Let someone else chair. Yes, you have interest in every matter. Even Alban Daglin said it, that for the speaker there, he has interest in every matter. But so far as he doesn't disclose it and it is not obvious, you cannot accuse him that he has interest in this matter. So the advice I'm giving to you is that your basic interest is to preside over the house without the house going into disarray, without matters coming up, without fights coming up. That should be your interest, how to preside over the house and then close your sitting before the sitting becomes boring. These are issues that you are interested in and not the subject matter. Even if you have interest in the subject matter, don't make it obvious. Because when I'm watching you preside and this person is speaking, you are nodding, this person is speaking, you're angry, and it's clear and it's obvious that you have a side. You have a side in this matter and it is not good for you as a speaker. So this is the emphasis that I'm laying. These are the emphasis that I'm laying. Yeah. So yeah. So that's my answer. I think Hakim can complement some of the responses that I've made.
Okay, thank you very much. So please, members. All right. So members, I hope you can hear me.
Yeah.
Hello. Okay. So I want to start from the conflict of interest. I want to start from the conflict of interest bit that it is. When it comes to the conflict of interest, first off, I want to give you a classical case of conflict of interest. We have a case called Dine versus Grand Canal. That's a classical case of conflict of interest, which was established in the 1622 in the US. Just a minute. Now, when we talk about conflict of interest, we are not talking about just the normal interest that you have, but the interest where it is going to breach your constitutional duties. When we talk about conflict of interest, it is you being fair, unbiased, and all. That is the interest aspect you are talking about. Let's say they are going to talk about a bidding of a contract. Now, the bidding of a contract that they're going to speak about, the people who are going to be, let's say, the company that is bidding the contract, you, the Speaker of Parliament, they are presiding over the matter. Um you actually have an interest in that particular company. When you say interest, maybe you, the brother, the owner of the company belongs to you, or you're a shareholder of the company, obviously. No, no, no. In that particular regard, in that particular instance, you don't have. In that particular instance, when it happens like that, you, the Speaker of Parliament, what is going to happen is that you would have to recuse yourself. It is now that you have breached, when you're looking at the administrative duties, you have not actually acted fairly. So when we talk about conflict of interest, there are certain things that you have to look at the cost. So for example, the case of Diana versus Grand Canada I was going to talk about was a case whereby there were certain judges that they had an interest in a particular company, although they have already sold the company out. Now they were supposed to build a canal. It's called the Grand Canal in London. Now, the Dime was a particular company that's supposed to build it, but what happened was that because the Lord Chancellor as at the time had an interest, and he has even sold the company, but because he had ever had a relationship with the particular company, the court will review that when they allow him to make it like that, it's going to go grievous to the root of the matter. Indeed, that's a particular interest that they are looking at. Hope you are getting me. Everybody has an interest that's going to be very well. But indeed, that's a particular interest that they are looking at. Hope you are getting me. Everybody has an interest, that's why they are there. When we talk about interest that's going to breach your fiduciary duty. When you look at the principle of fiduciary duty, you're looking about you, your trustee, and all those things. So your fiduciary duty, if it's going to breach the fiduciary relationship where you have with the parliamentarian, that is to be fair, to be unbiased, to act in their best interest and all those things. It's going to breach that particular in that you have to recuse yourself. Indeed, it does not necessarily mean that everything you have to recuse yourself. You would have to look at the issues at hand and then what you recuse yourself from. That is it. Now, sometimes also you even have to state your interest clearly in Parliament for parliamentarians to now say that yes, we know your interest clearly. However, we still believe in your capacity as a speaker to be able to chair unbiasedly. For example, you say, oh, this matter that is going to be brought before us, this person was my steady mate and all those, so therefore I want to recuse myself. The parliamentarians say, okay, we understand he was your steady mate, we understand that this, but we still think that you should still chair. In that instance, there's a principle that we call principle estopel. Estopel by conduct. They have clearly and expressly told you that you should preside. So therefore, everything you do will be in the best interest. Because the reason why these things are supposed to be done is that we have to continually practice it, and this is what we are going to replicate in the national parliament. Now, we came to an issue. I didn't hear the question very well, but I don't know what it was. Indeed, when we look at the highest court of the land, we would have to correct it. Parliament has never gotten the name court. Parliament is parliament. Court is court. The highest court of the land is still the constitution. The constitutional court. And the constitutional court is what we call the Supreme Court of Ghana. Where you can check Article 1261A, you get just going to look at it how it is. Now, when you look at our Ghanaian constitution, we are practicing constitutional democracy. In the 1957 constitution and the 1960 constitution, we are practicing parliamentary democracy. When you look at Article 1 to the 1960 constitution, where parliament was the higher decision-making body. Now, even when you look at, I want to avert your mind to certain provisions in the constitution where you can look at Article 69 of the 1992 Constitution. We tend to talk about the removal of the president. The president's removal has certain qualifications. I'm not sure of what the question because my internet was very bad, so I didn't get it. So maybe if the person retrade the questions and other things, I'll follow. But this is what I wanted to speak about the conflict of interest bit of it.
Yes, yes. So my colleague is right. The conflict of interest in most
I
cases
am
we are
coming.
talking about if you have
Let me let
a
me
hand in
let me
something. Yeah, yeah. I'm giving you time to check, so you can check it out. So if clearly
okay. No,
the
I
parties
was
that
even talking
are
about
yeah. I'll get there. As you're looking through, I'll get there. So if assuming clearly the SRC court, the SRC parliament wants to approve a particular contract, and then you are a board member in that contract. You are a board member for that company, and the company is being brought to the SRC parliament for them to approve their contract. Clearly, as the speaker, you have an interest. So that context is right. Mhm. And then
okay.
also
So
to complement,
okay,
yeah, let's you speak. Yeah, Hakim, speak.
okay. So basically, somebody was talking about precedent setting. I must say, I would always usually look at Parliament, even by the standing orders and Hansard of Parliament. Parliament is not really bound. Parliament is not really bound to follow stricto sensu precedents. Let me say it this way: Parliament, per law, has never been stricto sensu. When we talk about stricto sensu, to follow precedent that it has been set out. So this has supposed to be done. However, by convention, it is easier to look at precedent setting to follow. If it comes to the judiciary is clearly bounded by their own precedent. However, there is a principle that you can use to depart from a precedent as a speaker. There's one principle we call the adjudicem generis rule that you are supposed to know. When you talk about the adjudicem generis rule, what it means is that sometimes you have to distinguish the facts. So, for example, as a Speaker of Parliament, in 2015, this particular thing happened, they did it like this. You'll be able to distinguish the fact that indeed it happened this way, but it's because if we always say we are going to use precedent, there are certain instances whereby there was a particular bad precedent that was set up. Let me cite an example. When I was an SRC speaker before I became president, there was a time where the third school president of the school was also the chief justice of the school, and he was attending parliament as the TESCOM president, and he was the same person as the chief justice. Members of parliament, how do you think this will happen? And then this was the president before I became. But when I later on became, I then have to explain to them that per sections and statutory provisions and all those things, this is going to be very grievous when we allow this president to happen. And I have to set it clear that members of parliament are from association and unions and all this. And the first one president is clearly political, and he actually funds people to, let's say, Tescom and team are people who are going to fund people to contest as the presidency and all this. So when we allow them to also become chief justices and members of the judiciary, it is going to be great. And I also have to state clearly that if you're a member of the judiciary and the no secretary should even become a parliamentarian as well, this is a precedent that it was an old precedent that was being set that is, but I have to come back and distinguish the facts. You get it? So this is how sometimes you're able to depart from precedent. These are some of the laws that you have to sometimes abide and follow on to set up precedent. Able to answer in addition.
Yeah, so if you could also share your opinion on Prof. Okwe's situation, I think that would also help.
Okay, so basically, the Prof. situation is clearly a classical example of you looking at just a minute. Okay, so the Prof. situation, it is a clear example of where somebody is being I would say being biased, or let's say putting the status quo of where it favors him, and you shift drifting clearly into that. Now, because Parliament is not clearly per law, is not bounded by precedent. If Parliament is supposed to be bounded by precedent, that is where he would have said this. But you realize that Professor was saying that yeah, he did it. It does not necessarily mean that the next speaker should do it because Parliament speakership and rulings is not bounded that you are supposed to follow clearly what has been done already. That is how a convenience. So that one happened in form of convenience. Now there is an old doctrine. There's an old doctrine that governs Parliament and then how they are supposed to follow, why they are not supposed to follow precedents. The reason why Parliament was not allowed to follow precedents is that in 1036 there was a conquest called the Norman Conquest. After the Norman Conquest in England, the highest court in England was Parliament. So until 2016, England didn't have a Supreme Court. So what they do is that Parliament make the rules, and Parliament can even amend what the Lord Chancellor and what this will happen. So if Parliament was bound for them to follow precedent, it means that they couldn't make the laws and amend it. So you realize that there are certain rules whereby Parliament use, they are able to change it based on the exigencies of life. The parliament is supposed to are supposed to be bounded stricto sensu by president. For example, currently what do you call it? Attempted suicide is no longer an offense. But previously was an offense because they voted and they agreed. So parliament is not directly bounded by president, but the hands and all this are persuasive. Because for example, if you lay a bill in parliament this parliament year, and in the parliament year, that is the 4 years elapses. And in the next 4 years happens, you have to relay the bill. So you realize a bill like the affirmative action bill, the right to information bill are bills that kept very long in parliament because they don't finish and then the parliament year will fall. They have to raise it again. So parliament directly answered an issue that happened are for persuasions, but it is not the probative values of it is not so high as compared to judiciary that is supposed to go directly by their presidents. I don't know if you get those ones.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay. The moderator.
Mr. Chairman, please, I'm here. I'm following keenly.
Mm, yes, I
Any
think.
other
Uh,
question?
yeah.
Right
So
Honorable Herbert Dankwa, Speaker of
yeah.
University
So
of Ghana.
yeah.
Mhm.
So before Herbert speaks, please know that Hakim is a full lawyer. Okay. Soon to be called to the bar. So for him, he speaks clearly in the context of the law. But some of us we speak from the side of parliament and then all those. So yeah, so for him, he will clearly give you the law backgrounds to understanding some of these issues coming. Yes, Herbert, let's hear you.
Hello, please. Thank you very much, Vice Chair. Please, I wanted to ask a follow-up question. When you made mention of, time management, there is this particular parliament. I believe it could be everywhere, and definitely you may go through those instances. The instance whereby sitting will be set between, let's say, 1 to 3 in the afternoon, but even the sitting will even start like 2:30. Not to mention of the time that it will close. So
Hello, I think I lost you. So maybe if you can actually
Question
mute you
was
because
clear.
uh, my network is so bad. Oh.
Okay.
I also lost him along the line. If he could come
You
with his
made
question again.
mention of time man. Hello. Hello.
We can hear you now. Go ahead.
Yes. Okay, please, am I audible now? Please, am I audible now? Okay, please. Thank you. So I was saying there are instances that time management becomes an issue. And I believe per the number of sittings and the experiences that you've garnered, how were you able to maneuver through the issues of time management? So practical example.
What you want to do. Let me say that when I was a speaker, before I became a vice president, when I was a speaker, there was a time where I knew that people were coming in vehemently vote against a bill. Now I had my way whereby this particular budget is supposed to be passed. I made people argue unnecessarily, right? Then after the unnecessary argument, then after that, you know how sorry. All right. So there are certain reasons that after the argument, I'll just let you just argue unnecessarily for people to just get tired. Then later when I put the question, people just want to get up, they will go. Or there are certain instances that I will just suspend sitting because you know when quorum is formed and you don't adjourn sitting and you suspend sitting for some time and you come back, you are going to follow with the same quorum that was there. Maybe you actually suspend it for some few minutes and you come back. You may not get the actual people for the people who are going to disturb in your house to go, you come back and it will be passed. Those are things happen. Now, in time management, it depends on what you want to do. As a speaker, you need to manage yourself. There are certain instances where you want to catch people every time. You want to catch people every time. You may end up getting apathy and you may end up be rising up by. If you remember last year, Honorable Elijah or Elisha from KNUST, his house, you could see how his members were so much against him because of certain decisions and all those things. You don't cut people. Sometimes, as time and you look at the instance, I cannot directly tell you that do it A or B. The instance you realize that this person is just talking unnecessarily. You can time them. Other instances also that based on how controversial the matter is, allow people to voice out. Don't cut them. You talk, you allow people to voice out. There are certain instances where in my house I may let both sides argue so much and so in disagreement that I will now come and say that hey, since both of you cannot agree, this is what it is, and they will now agree with me. So time management is about wisdom, depending on what is on the floor. One, to depend on how controversial the issue is too, and then depending on the urgency, then you know how to manage your way through. You see, the best speaker is the speaker who has tactics. That should be the best one. So this is how I'm going to. I may not be able to prescribe directly tell you and do like this for your time to manage, do like this for your time to manage. that one is going to put you in a what do you call it, in the box. So in that is that you as a speaker, you should know your house very well. So you know what your house needs and you give it to them. Look at the situation that you find yourself in and you're going to put it in that particular regard. I don't know if I have answered you that much.
Yeah, so I'll compliment what you just stated. So the tricks that Hakim has shared is how to handle very critical matters. And in order to, you have to use some time management skills. And clearly the skill he laid is that if the budget is supposed to be passed, but there are people who are there with agenda to not make it pass, you can let time to be wasted. And by the time members will be tired, and when you bring the question, they would approve it. It's a way to getting things passed. For me, when it comes to time management, on the matter you raised, even in Parliament of Ghana, they designate 10 a.m. every day for sittings to start, but sittings don't always start at that time. So that particular issue is a matter happening from top to down. Even my chamber, our time since the start of the year to now had always been 1 p.m. on Sundays. On most occasions, we end up starting 2 o'clock or 2:30. Some occasions, around 3 o'clock. It is due to the fact that people who are to play roles during the sitting are not present as of the time or the time appointed for the sitting to start. And in some occasions, we don't have a quorum to start. So I'm unable to start at 1 p.m. So if you want to manage the starting or the commencement of the sitting to start at the appointed time that you have stated in the memo, then members have to be communicated to that looking at the business of the house, they should be seated an hour to the sitting. Hopefully that by the time it will be that 1 p.m. for me, 12 o'clock, members start arriving. So by the time you get to 1, you'd have an adequate number or you miss the correct number in order for you to commence the sitting. That is one trick to use. Another trick to use is that the role players, or you speak to a quantum number of people adequate enough for you to form your quorum, and then you tell them that before 1 they should be seated, and if they are seated by 1, you can start your sitting so far as you meet quorum. In another case is for youth in parliament, we have something called counter quorum. It is only to us. It is not something in other parliaments. The counter quorum is that if we want to beat time, so far as there's a speaker, a clerk at table, the majority and minority leader, at youth impact parliament, please, clearly this is a youth impact parliament thing that we have done. If it is time and there are 4 key players, someone presiding, someone at table, an available leader at majority side and on minority side. After prayers, a counter quorum can be raised. Instead of, usually when you start and there is no quorum, they ask for a bell to be rung. So instead of the bell to be rung for members to come in, because before the issue of quorum is being brought, the speaker cannot really know until it is obvious that there is no quorum in the house for sitting to start. And even at Parliament House, they will write 92 members will write their names, but in the chamber there are only 10. So far as a member has not raised or has not brought to the attention of the speaker that there is no quorum for business to start, the speaker assumes there is quorum. So what we do with our counter quorum is that as of then, even if there are 4 people, someone presiding, someone at table, someone left, someone right, and after prayers, we raise counter quorum that looking at the exigency of the business, it is relevant that we start, but major decisions cannot be taken until the right quorum is adopted. And then when the question is input and then the ayes have it, you move ahead, knowing that major decisions cannot be taken. I don't really encourage that practice in other parliaments, but youth impact parliaments is purposely for capacity building. But when it comes to your case, I advise that you encourage a number of members to be seated before the appointed time for it to start. Now, how do I manage time when proceedings start? How do I manage time? For me as a speaker, I'm always looking at the fact that I don't want people speaking too much. Okay, if you want to manage time, you need to limit the time that they speak, and you need to give time schedules that when it gets to this time, we should be done with this business. You don't expect us, I don't expect us to spend so much time on this particular matter. So I'm guided by the time schedule I've put into my head. I expect that we spend 5 minutes on this item on the other paper. I expect that we spend 10 minutes. So when that time is being elapsed, I push for, if it is a motion that has a movement, question to be put, that thing should be done. I push for it to be done. And then when members are speaking too much, I say in conclusion to get them to conclude. If they are not concluding, I disrupt them. I say, thank you, honorable member, you may resume your seat. I disrupt them and then they take the mic from them and then they resume their seat. That is how I manage time. These are some of the tricks in managing time. When they are speaking too much, honorable member, thank you very much. You may resume your seat. Take the microphone from him and then we move. In Parliament of Ghana, what they use with their console system is that when the person is speaking too much, the speaker can mute the microphones. He has that master control to mute the microphones. So when he says in conclusion the person is not ending, then he just mutes the microphone. And that is that tone that you just hear something, tone. That is the speaker using the master controls to mute the microphone. So Hakim, you want to compliment? Yeah, Hakim, I think you want to compliment what I'm saying, right? Hello, Hakim. Let's hear you.
Okay, so I wanted to add something on the quorum.
Yeah, let's hear you.
And before I proceed, before maybe ask other people if they have other issues. Now, there is something in terms of quorum. There are certain constitutions that uses voidable principles. Others also uses a void principle. So, for instance, there are certain constitutions that it is stated that when there is no quorum, anything else you do is void. It is wrong. So, in that sense, if there is no quorum, you have to adjourn at all costs. But there are also other instances where the constitution says that it is you may start looking at how the word is crafted. You know if it is void or voidable. Now, if it is voidable, what it means is that it is until everything you do is right until somebody releases it. So, if your constitution is crafted in a way whereby it is voidable, what you can do is that in the event whereby it happens, you can just go ahead, proceed with the sitting until somebody raises it. Now, if a member does not raise the issue of quorum, if a member does not raise the issue of quorum, everything you do there is legitimate and right. Are you getting me? Everything you do there is legitimate and right. Now, if you finish with the business and then the person now comes to raise quorum, the principle of estoppel by conduct will now get the person because the person was there, the person kept quiet, and the person has waived his rights, his or her rights. The person has waived his or her rights. So in that instance, whatever he or she does, it will not count again. I don't know if you get it. So this is something that you have to look at. I think the next time where we have to have a meeting, we have to look at interpretation of statutes. We have to take time to explain to members of parliament how to interpret statutes and then how to interpret, let's say, acts. Basically, that's how we have to look at necessary.
Great. Moderator. Yes. Right on, Edmond. Over to you, moderator.
I think he's off or his
It's
network. So
over.
anybody with a
Okay.
question can just
Yes.
ask him.
Yeah. Anyone with a question, please, you can ask your question. And if we have said something that you need clarity on, yes, Honorable Joseph Tete, have all your questions been answered?
Yes, please. My questions has been answered. But then
Okay.
yeah, as humans, some of us are Oliver Twist. I don't know if you could share your slides with us, maybe I don't know on which platform, but I don't know
Sure.
if you can.
I'll do
Yeah.
that. I'll share it with Edmund and then he'll share it on your platforms.
All right, all
Okay.
right.
Mm, yes. So the next one, Hakim will be the guest speaker. He needs to share some of his legal insights with us. So Hakim, I beg, start setting dates. We'll have you as the next speaker. Why? I beg, start preparing. We'll have you as the next speaker. Okay. I that was one person who wanted to ask question. Yeah, Rashid Ibrahim. Oh, is he gone again? He wanted to ask a question, but I think he wasn't called. Oh, I think it's Rahman Yusuf.
Rashid. Oh, okay, okay.
Yes. Okay. Okay, I think we can have Alex. Alex Conan, please ask your question.
Chairman, I just want to find out whether, and first and foremost, I need to thank you for this particular education. I think most of us have learned a lot, and I would say we were in the dark, but now we've come to the light. Thank you very much. I just want to find out whether your pastor can pray for you to get the gift of conflict resolution. That is just my question.
If my pastor can pray for you to get the gift of conflict resolution, is that what you are saying?
Yes.
Or when it comes to conflict of resolution, it's a skill that you build after some time. When you have reached some stage in life and you make some resolutions on how to deal with life. There are some things you not tolerate. You not want to be the cause of disputes, and then you just want matters to be settled. So naturally, you are committed to resolving conflicts. Even if you are the agenda type, you will just be able to do it. But even if you have not reached that resolution, it's just simple. You just want peace. So you just find grounds to compromise, consensus to be reached. But before then, each party must speak and they must be heard. Right to be heard. Okay, the right to be heard is always something. If the person has not been heard, and if he presented himself but has not been heard, is a big case. So conflict resolution is not one rule. There are thousand ways of cleaning a cat. So there are thousand ways of resolving conflict. And everyone will have a peculiar way of doing it. And so just have your own way of resolving conflict, and then that's good to go. The principle is just that you must be able to resolve conflict as a speaker. Mhm.
Okay, let me, if I may throw a little light on conflict. I don't know if he wants clarity on conflict resolution. You see, in terms of conflict resolution, there are a lot of means by which you can use. The ADR Act has actually prescribed a lot of them for us: mediation, arbitration, negotiation, and others. Now, there are certain instances whereby you realize that this controversial issue that is supposed to come to the floor of parliament, as a speaker of parliament, this is what I used to do. Before I will lay something, I will first want to negotiate with the sides to now see what it is. And then in that particular regard, before they even come to the chamber, people understand themselves to know what is going to be done. So it's just like a popular acclamation. Now there are instances where this thing will not work because the conflict is actually emanating from you, the speaker. You yourself is the troublemaker. You see, I must say, most speakers are agenda people who you were the agenda boy of the president, so therefore the president will appoint you. That is fine. But when you become a speaker, you should become like a lukewarm water. You get it? You are not hot, you are not cold. However, you have your interest in you. You have your interest in the speaker. You have your interest in you. I must say that in conflict resolution, if an interest conflicts with your interest, choose your interest. Okay. So you being the speaker, there are certain instances whereby you have to even cut the conflict before it comes. For example, this person comes in and then just a minute. I'm sorry, I had to attend something. So let's say you being a speaker, you see these things happening. So then you are supposed to negotiate with the parties involved. Other instances also, you may know certain key actors in the house that you know that this person is a troublemaker. Let me cite an example. When I was a speaker of parliament, my president wanted to bring a bill and he wanted to bring a budget. I am saying a bill because budget is also a bill. Now he was supposed to bring this, and then I realized that there is one controversial human being in the class, in the house. That this guy, I have to find a solution to deal with him. So I set up a committee to review the budget after a being late. Now the committee that I set up, I intentionally made that particular person the secretary to the committee. I made another guy who is also on his side a member of the committee, and I made the rest of the people were people who are in favor of the president or people who I can control to be in the committee. Now, when the committee decision comes, that is what after the committee is being settling it, they are going to come and then the House is going to approve the committee report. Now, after this thing happened and then the committee went to peruse, the guy being the secretary of the committee, he felt that because he was the secretary of the committee, he can maneuver his ways. But no, because it was a committee of seven, the other five, when they vote in committee, you are going to lose. But because you yourself that you are the troublemaker, you are the secretary, you are supposed to be the one writing and come to read it. So eventually, you are bounded by the committee reports. Are you getting it? I intentionally kept him and other two in the committee. So eventually they were bounded by the committee report because the committee sat down and we said, hey, you're the one going to read it. So sometimes you have to use technical know-how and the ways to judge or agree to disagree and all those things. Those are things that's going to make you a successful speaker. But however, let me say to understand when you have certain issues that are conflicting in your house, you can at any point in time get in touch with myself, Viglo, Amano, Edmond, and other former speakers who are going to assist you to let it happen. Currently, I don't know what is happening with these speakers, but when we were there, all the speakers in Ghana, we were one. We will go for Congress and approve a candidate, and you're going to win the election. And we will always come to each person's chamber. And when we are confronted with that and other things, we will come to your chamber. And after we are confronted with that and other things, we will assist you to execute something. So people call it agenda speaking, agenda speaking. And up to now, we've been friends throughout till now. So we are readily available to help. So when you are confronted by that, you don't need any Holy Spirit to get to that. But if you need them and you contact them, we are going to assist you. Thank you very much. I think somebody else is going to ask a question.
Yeah. That's it. Thank you.
Hello. Any other question, please?
Yeah. Yeah, Edmond. I have to know about Edmond.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'm here.
Yeah. I'm saying that our next speaker is Hakim, so speak with him and let's choose dates. Early next year, he opens
Yes,
the year for
that's
us is the
fine.
second one.
That's
So
fine.
I think,
Okay,
yes, so please
I'll be
elaborate.
happy
If
if
they are
you
done,
make
then
your
we can
contacts
close.
available. I'll be happy if you make your contacts available. Or members with questions can reach out to me so we address them later. If we should follow it, we would close at around 9.
Okay, no problem. So my
Okay,
contact
so
is
I think that
okay. I'll say it
if
and
we
I'll
have
type it as well.
if okay,
Yeah,
I'm saying that
Hakim,
I
you
think
wanted to stay.
we can take about one or two questions. Let us take one or two questions. That's if there are any. And then also the new speakers also who are available. We are willing to do an orientation in your various chambers if you so desire and so wish for us to um, put the members of parliament actually in parliamentary regimen, because I believe that some of the members of parliament think that coming to student parliament it is coming to fight. So they finish parliament and they didn't really get anything. So members who are available and then they want us to really do an orientation in their chamber, devoid of wherever it is. If we agree on whatever it is, either we could do an in-person for your members and the speaker, or we can do an online for the members and speaker, looking at the conditions that we are going to agree to ourselves, and we know how to go about it. So that is an opportunity that is available for members if they so wish to. So let's take like one or two questions. If it with chairman's permission, let's take one or two questions, then we can end. That's if there are.
Okay. Please, are there any other questions? Are there any other questions?
Okay.
Okay. Okay. I just dropped my contact in the in-call message. That's 02014768896. You can WhatsApp me. You can ask Jason as well. He'll send my contact to you for any further deliberation. And as Hakim has stated, if you want NASSG members to come and aid your chamber in orientation and stuffs, we'll consider it and hopefully we'll be there. Thank you. Moderator, over to you.
Much. That being said, we've exhausted everything we are supposed to do here. And even if we have questions to ask, we have the contacts of the chairman and
So I would like to call on Right Honorable Rashid to pray for us so we end the session.
Right Honorable Rahina Tutuna would do the honors and pray for us. Madam Speaker, we are waiting for you. Oh, I think she's not available.
She didn't unmute her mic.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, because yes. So Al Hassan, speaking this year. I think we can still hear her. Maybe she's praying. I'm sure she's praying.
We cannot note any other volunteer can just pray for us to end it.
Okay. In order not to, I know we can't hear her prayer, but I think she indeed prayed. So, if she prays, she can just comment amen, and then we have taken that prayer. So Hassan, you go ahead and pray. And when you are done, just tag Amen. And then we'll close.
Okay, amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
Thank you very much, all honorables. So, my Jason will make my number available if you want to reach me. But if you really want me to respond to you very, very early, if you have an iMessage, you can actually do iMessage instead of WhatsApp because I hardly do WhatsApp. But anyway, when you send WhatsApp, I may also respond. But it may take a little while, small. But that is all. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Yes, thank you very much. So the next meeting, then the time and venue for the next meeting would be made available as soon as possible. Bye.